As the TRRC continues its hearing, a witness says he thought Jammeh's HIV treatment was a political rhetoric. More than 700 schools are fumigated to welcome returning students. South Sudan's official promised to heighten skin bleaching rules. These and more coming on The World today. Hello, this is The World Today with me, Sohna Tunkara. Let's take a look at our news bulletins now. A senior scientist and head of HIV research at the MRC, West Africa Collaboration and Research Network, has told the Gambia's Truth Commission that ex-President Yahya Jammeh's proclamation of having the ability to cure HIV and AIDS is just a political rhetoric. Detailed in this report by Julton Jai Suare.
Dr. Hassan Jay's appearance is meant to give first-hand information about his work on HIV/AIDS in the Gambia and how HIV/AIDS treatment was approached and dealt with by the MRC in collaboration with the Gambia government. Testifying before commissioners on Wednesday, Dr. Jay said the president's proclamation took him aback because he never thought that Jammeh would go to the extent of practicing it.
It was a surprise to us, but at the same time, a worry. And we thought at that point it's just a political rhetoric and would stop at that, because he was known to make proclamations every time.
By saying, okay, please proceed.
Yeah, he was known to make proclamations politically anytime, and we thought at that point in time this was just one of those political rhetorics. Until when we were informed that he's on the verge of organizing a treatment clinic. That was when our worries became profound.
Dr. Gay said he is of the belief that former President Jammeh made the proclamation because he wanted to fulfill his self-esteem when he assumed power, because he was once quoted as saying that he wanted to be a doctor but ended up being a soldier. The scientist added that Jammeh proclaiming a cure for the people who are sick was meant to exploit the vulnerability of those people by virtue of his position as president. He also told the Truth-Seeking Commission that it becomes really strange and highly unexpected for one to declare a cure for the virus because it is impossible to cure going by its course.
Cure is not possible in HIV.
And why is that?
Why is that? The HIV virus, its genome, I think I alluded to this, its genome is a rare genome of an RNA that is half two double-stranded. And normally RNAs are single, but this one has a positive strand alongside it that enables it to integrate into the host DNA itself. And that's how HIV becomes successful. But not only that, that RNA it has, it's accompanied with proteins, enzyme proteins, that will enable it to employ a mechanism to integrate into the host cells itself. And at the cell itself, it's at the DNA of the cells itself, the way it integrates, and become part of that DNA to start multiplying. So if you want to treat, and cure means eliminating the virus. That's what cure is. If you want to cure, you have to get to that virus where it's hiding, but you cannot touch that virus without touching the DNA, the cells of the person. So you destroy the cells of the person. That means you kill the person itself.
Narrating the impact of the president's proclamation on them, the immunology specialist said Jammeh's treatment program led to the destruction of their own program because most members of the cohort decided to move to the presidential treatment.
So there was a decision that we have to close the cohort. It became apparent when many of our members of the cohort came to indicate that they are now moving in program to the presidential treatment program. We cannot stop them because it's their choice. What we have to do is to create a discharge form which they will have to sign that they are now leaving the cohort and move over.
He said as of 2005, 90% of the patients in his programs were able to attend low viral load. However, most of the conditions of the patients worsened and others died when they moved to the presidential treatment. The lead HIV and AIDS researcher at MRC said some of the patients had to come back to MRC because they realized that the president's treatment was bogus. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Yaisware.
More witnesses continue to appear before the Truth-Seeking Commission to give their testimonies. Now, Carnegie Municipal Council introduces its first comprehensive bylaws on Wednesday at its chambers in Carnegie. With rising conflict among communities as a result of different nuisances within the jurisdiction of the Lord Mayor, the 2020 bylaws intend to enforce and create tranquility for a smooth development process. Speaking during the press conference, the Lord Mayor of KMC, Talib Ahmed Bensouda, highlighted the reason why his office composed the first comprehensive 2020 bylaws. Mr. Bensouda says the need to resolve local government conflict prompted the initiative. Here is an insert of his speech.
Had many complaints from members of our community about the lack of order, civil disobedience, conflicts between neighbors and community members, all because of lack of local governance. One of Council's biggest responsibilities as a local government authority is to establish order and the rule of law within its communities. The Constitution does not cover all these aspects. There are many, I would term as micro issues within our communities, including loud noise, obstruction of routes, having ceremonies and other public events late at night without consideration of your neighbors. And this is why we have come up with comprehensive bylaws to guide our communities and to ensure there are penalties if one disrupts their community.
That was the Lord Mayor speaking during a press conference held at his chambers in Carnegie. Now, as upper basic and senior secondary schools in the Gambia open today, measures to keep both teachers and students safe from the contagious coronavirus is a necessity. The Gambia Red Cross Society, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, has successfully fumigated more than 700 schools across the country. Ibrahim John tells us more.
The Gambia Red Cross Society is known for leading the fight to oust COVID-19 from the territory of the Smiling Coast. The humanitarian society spearheaded the burials of people suspected of being killed by the coronavirus. Now, as students get set to return to the classrooms, the Gambia Red Cross Society still leads the way to ensure safety of educationists and learners. Abdullah Faye, the program's manager of the Gambia Red Cross Society, said they were able to fumigate more than 700 schools in the country.
Is to fumigate the schools first, because even without COVID-19, if you don't use a particular place for a long period of time, it is better you fumigate the place so that any bacteria or any other virus that is around, you can able to reduce its impact on the people. So that is one thing that we are currently doing, but also to ensure that people are prepared to go back to the schools. So currently that's what we are doing, and as of yesterday, we have fumigated over 770 schools countrywide. The teams are still doing. As we are entering, we just met with our teams from the field. So, and this is doing simultaneously countrywide.
5 further revealed that the Gambia Red Cross Society is collaborating with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to render humanitarian assistance to schools across the country.
Yes, we are really working with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, and we have signed an MOU with the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. 2 MOUs. One is looking at, the COVID perspective, which is basically to ensure that schools are fumigated. But the other one is a general MOU, that we work together as institutions to promote humanitarian work also in the schools. So there's that collaboration. So whatever we are doing, we are in consultation with the authorities of the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education.
Abdullah Fai, the Gambia Red Cross Society's programs manager, has this advice for school administrators and students.
Yeah, for the school administrators and the students is that they need to ensure that all the safety precautions that needs to be put in place are in place. And one of them is they should have enough hand washing facilities in the school, with the necessary detergents for students and visitors, including the head teachers, to be washing their hands frequently. This is very much important. And especially the young ones, because we are going to have the nursery schools, the lower basic schools that are going. They need a proper assistance, and coaching, so that they can adopt that, behavior of frequent, hand washing.
Educational institutions were ordered to close in March when the Gambian leader declared a state of public health emergency. This led over 600,000 pupils in pre-primary to secondary schools and about 20,000 adolescents and youths attending higher, tertiary and non-formal education and training have their activities suspended. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Ibrahim John.
From that report by Ibrahim John, the Gambia Red Cross continues its community service by fumigating 700 schools. Now, moving on, internally displaced people in one of the biggest camps in South Darfur have disgruntled over what they claim a prison-like condition. The Otters camp houses hundreds of thousands of people who are displaced due to the political and tribal instability in Sudan. Details of that in this report. Earlier in August this year, a series of bandit activities were reported by the people in the Otters camp. A deteriorating security condition led to complaints of a series of robbery and assaults. An independent UN expert, Aristide Nonossi, who visited the camp, revealed that the displaced people lived in a state of insecurity owing to the presence of various armed and criminal activities within the region. Sudan's instability has resulted in a mass displacement within various regions. More than 100,000 people fled to the Otters camp in South Darfur, escaping attacks on their homes. With such a colossal influx of people arriving frequently in the camp to seek for protection, providing basic needs to its people becomes challenging. Humanitarian aid have been extended from the World Food Programme and various NGOs to the people of the camp. For iAfrica TV, Sohna Tunkara. From that report on Sudan, we will now take a short commercial break and continue with the rest of our stories. Stay tuned.
waaye nijaay kaas pawa bi jeex na depuis démba xettali ma rek nijaay nga jëndal ma kaas pawa balaa yére yi di wow dama paase
fii amoo fi benn xaalis laa amut waaw may ma tuuti rek waaw Mamadou waaw ma ne dimbale ñu rek nga yónnee ñu kaas pawa léegi suñ kaas pawa moo jeex depuis démb ok baax na
waaye yow nijaay jaaxle naa de yow Mamadou naka lam ñoo jëndalee kaas pawa te fekk mu ngi bitim réew nijaay
xanaa xamuloo ne ak balu waaye mën a nekk ci bitim réew mun naa yónnee njabootam kaas pawa ñu am benn jafe-jafe ni ngay def yomb na da ngay log on to www.baluwo.com nga jëndee courant ci compagnie yi nga xam ne ñoo saytu wàllu courant ci dëkk yu mel ni Gambia, Sénégal, Mali, Nigeria ak Sierra Leone.
Welcome back. You're still watching The World Today, and to the rest of our stories. The Rwandan government has approved legal plantation of medical cannabis in the country. Cannabis is widely used in many countries around the world to boost economies and the medical sector. The country's health minister says the cannabis plant will help contain diseases, but he cautioned that all those who intend to participate need to seek for approval. However, others believe the cannabis plant will create job opportunities and improve source of living. Details of that in this report.
A plant approved by the cabinet meeting on Monday, cannabis is widely used in medicine and in the pharmaceutical industries and contributes greatly to economies of many countries around the world. Rwanda's Minister of Health, Dr. Daniel Ngamije, explained the benefits of growing this plant in Rwanda, especially in the medical field.
From tea to coffee, all these are plants that are exported, and they are able to be some sort of remedies to various diseases. So the same thing applies to this plant called cannabis. It is going to be planted in a safe way. Even those that are allowed to grow it will have to apply and be given a go-ahead to do so, and grow it in a known place and then export so that the pharmaceutical industry can meet its needs.
While Rwanda aims to increase agricultural exports to $1 billion by 2024 from the $465 million the country collected last year in this regard, the CEO of the Rwanda Development Board, Claire Akamanzi, says cannabis cultivation is an opportunity both in investment and in job creation.
Some of these crops have a value of, you can get up to $10 million from 1 hectare of production. I mean, if you compare that to roses, flowers, for example, if you grow flowers on a hectare, you expect to make $300,000. And this, you can go up to $10 million. It's a huge difference. So economically, it's potentially good for the country. And also, of course, jobs. We expect this industry to create hundreds and thousands of jobs as well if it goes well. And of course, we also expect taxes and hopefully other types of levies for money to come back to the treasury. So I see those as the main benefits: the health benefit, the economic benefit, and the employment benefit.
The cannabis plant is considered to be one of the plants with high economic value in the world in the coming years. Some countries such as the United States and Canada have started making use of the plant, and in the state of Colorado only, cannabis cultivation employed 18,000 people and $50 million in profits in 2018, and it is while in general the country earns $6.7 billion per year from the cannabis crop.
Uganda has legalized the use of medical cannabis. Now let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 update of the Gambia. As upper basic and senior secondary schools in the Gambia open schools today, measures to keep both teachers and students safe from the contagious in the country is now 3,642 as of Wednesday. Now new COVID-19 related deaths have been reported. No one has been newly taken into quarantine as well, and no new discharges were made from the treatment centers. With the Gambia, no one in quarantine, there are currently 929 active cases and a crude case fatality ratio of 3.2%. From that COVID-19 update, we move to South Sudan because citizens are divided on the use of skin bleaching, as it has become a common practice despite the government banning its sales in the country. Experts say they have warned rather those applying skin whitening against dangers involved in its practice. The government officials promised to heighten its monitoring against the product to refrain the people from its use. More in this report.
Skin whitening is a common practice in South Sudan. Each person bleaching here has their own reasons for doing so.
Skin whitening is good. I like it because it makes me look like a white lady. But I don't want to overdo it. I just want to maintain how I look now. My advice to those whitening their skin is don't apply a lot of whitening cream at once. Whitening is a process that takes time.
Before independence in 2011, more light-skinned Arab Sudanese ruled a then-united Sudan out of Khartoum. The main goal of successive regimes in Khartoum was to Islamize and Arabize Sudan. The blacks from the southern part of the country were religiously and politically marginalized and suffered discrimination due to the color of their skin. Many women and girls opted to whiten their skin to look more like the Arab population. Bleaching is not limited to women and girls. Some men in South Sudan are also whitening their skin, but some people resist the idea of whitening their skin.
I believe in my creator, and he did not make a mistake when he created me black. And I believe I'm beautiful in my skin color. So why destroy it with the natural things?
Medical experts are warning of the dangers of skin whitening.
Some patients also develop deposition of these toxic agents into some organs, specific organs, like the liver. Because by the way, you apply it on the skin, it is absorbed into the blood, taken by the blood circulation, and then deposited in various organs. Every organ can be affected. That is the worst part that we people are experiencing.
The government says it has halted the sale and use of the cosmetics for whitening skin across the country.
We've banned the use of body whitening creams. The policy is clear, and we will continue to monitor the market to make sure that it's free of unwanted cosmetics to ensure that our people are not harmed.
However, most of Juba markets have several stores where people can buy bleaching agents, and people like Joyce KG continue to access them and whiten their skin.
Well, viewers, that was all from me and the rest of the team on The World Today. Gambia 24 is up next with Mariama Cham. Until then, good evening.
Lu bari wusi coronavirus lu lawla jangoro bi ak deger boppa ngala jox ma sa nopa corona can be transferred to another. If a person sneezes, that doesn't mean the person has it.
Alaikum salam. Sen fan bi ñaata la? Abi. Comme yele la. Sorry, soxna si balal ma. Balal ma. Check la bala ngay def. Nga gele nañu xé corona. Lo gis? Mu ngi normal. Yow de yow yalla rek la fay. Yow fo amé li? Mon dama am ay bërebu liggéey kay yu bare. Té dama bëgg sétu suma liggéey kat seen wër gu yaram. Deug la.